Welcome to this episode of Women in Rugby League in the pioneering years. And I am really excited to have two people who I've had the pleasure of getting to know over the past 3 years because of all the projects that we've been running. Um, and absolute pleasure about where they started, how they got there. They are the true pioneers of when we're looking at women in rugby league in the 1980 start of the season, and women's rugby league really beginning to take off on leagues. So I would really like to welcome Bernie and Angie from Warrington, who played for Crossfield. So welcome.
Thank
Hello.
you.
So first of all, I don't know who wants to answer first, but how did you get involved? I think was it you, Bernie, that got involved first, or was it you, Angie?
We got involved together really. I think we both saw a poster. Justin's going to start a team up, and that's how we actually met all those years ago.
I
And
was
that
going
was
to
done at
say,
Wilderspool, wasn't it? At Wilderspool, the actual Warrington Wolves ground was Wilderspool Stadium. And I think it was in the Guardian, just a little advert wanting to start a women's team up, and we went. And there was some nice girls there, about 15 at the most.
Yeah.
And then it kind of fizzled out. It was nothing really happened. We never got to play a game. We just chatted for a bit, and then we started to do it ourselves. Then it was a case of putting posters up. I created a poster, put it on vending machines at work. Bernie did her side of things, and then it was like we've got girls started to come. We trained twice a week at Victoria Park, and we did that for a bit, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then it started to build up a little bit then, didn't it? Stuart Webb, Carl Webb's brother, helped us out at the beginning. And then
that's a start.
It was like the start.
that was the start, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was 85, 86, wasn't it, we think?
Yeah.
So it was about 85, 86 because we're uncovering that there was a league sort of 85, 86 that sort of started up but then spluttered. But actually, Crossfields, which is the team so you started off at as Warrington, didn't you? And then you actually set up and based yourself at quite. What made you sort of go to Crossfields and get set up there, really?
I think it was the only club that I'd have us.
Yeah.
I think I think it's really difficult in that area to get a club to take you under the wing, really. So if you think really that Lash is probably the most natural one near us, well, near where I live, where Angela lives. There's Woolston, there's Crossfields, and Latchford. But Crossfields were the one, because I think we had Pete Clark Pete Clark as well helping us, and Stuart Webb and Carl Webb. They were based at Crossfields. So it was just basically, and you know our history, we bounced around pitch to pitch, club to club. Yeah. So that's why we used the Crossfields banner to start with.
Yeah.
And we didn't always play at Crossfields, by the way. We just probably used their name as well.
Right. So you sort of use their name, use Victoria Park to train, which isn't in Crossfields.
And we used to play at Victoria Park. Bernie used to arrange the pitches and the refs, and we used to play at Victoria Park a lot as well. That was one of our home places, wanted to play.
Yeah, but we played at Wilson. We played at Broomfields, another local, a leisure centre more than a rugby team. But we just had to just play on a pitch where you could get a pitch for ladies and get a referee for ladies.
And were they local council pitches then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mostly. And what were they like with you about women's rugby league? Did they prioritise it, or I know some people have said we're always the last on the list.
Yeah, we were always last on the list, and you sort of had to ask for the time, and you had to just fit in with the time of all the junior clubs.
Yeah,
I suppose your amateur teams play, and I know because my boys have played that you just fit in wherever, don't you?
Yeah.
So we used to have really bad kick-off times. Or bad pitches as well.
Yeah.
So what was your kick-off times?
Anything from it can be 11, 12, sometimes later. Which when you watch Warrington, you used to interfere a bit with what was watching Warrington.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? And so you had your kick-off times. What were the changing facilities like at Victoria Park then? Because it's improved now, hasn't it? But...
no, still the same, I think.
Oh, is it?
Oh my God.
We went there not long ago, didn't we, for something? I think it was walking rugby we was doing, and we had to use the changing rooms, and we said it's not changed in nearly 40 years. I don't think the changing rooms have changed.
Yeah, that's the council part. But obviously, that's where Warrington are moving to, and they got lovely facilities for the team,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But the council still smell the same, put it that way.
Oh gosh. And how was it getting match officials then?
Awful.
Yeah, yeah.
Awful, because you know, it's a non-entity, wasn't it? Ladies rugby didn't exist, and I think the one thing I remember, I got a guy called Colin Stanton, who's passed away now, Colin. But I had to ring like the house. You just rang them direct. I don't know what they do now to arrange an official, but I had a list of officials. I should go down the list and say, "Are you free? Yes, no." And I rang his house once, and his wife gave me a right flea in the ear for asking him again. So I don't think I asked him ever again. But it was really tough getting officials, and of course, well, male officials as well at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting, isn't it, that time? So you had to set up the team, get everyone playing. What were people's views about women's rugby league then? And you playing rugby league?
I think my family they backed us and friends because we was brought up with rugby league from an early age. We watched Warrington. We just wanted to play the game. So family and friends were really good, but some people just looked at it and laughed in a way. It was like, "What, you're playing rugby?" It's like, you don't do it. But we've got good support from family and friends. But I think when people come to watch you and they watch the game, they realise, "Oh yeah, you're serious. You do want to play," and they've enjoyed it. People come with open minds, I think, and they've enjoyed it better than what they thought they was expecting. But no, we did have good support, but it was very hard, like you say, with officials and getting pitches. That was our main hurdle to get over. And even transport, we was going back into them when we got in with Guiseley and we got information from them and we made, started fixtures. Just to go across to the Pennines every Sunday morning, it was like people that could drive, and only a few of us could drive. We got in our cars and some days we couldn't have a full team, did we? And we couldn't play without a full team. It was like you're knocking girls up in the morning, going round to their houses, saying, "Please, we need you. We've got to play and we need a full team." So that was it's getting the girls. Now you look and the girls want to play. You know what I mean? There's so many leagues now and they're all playing. But at our time, it was very few that was playing. And that was...
So how did you set about getting fixtures then? So you got your team together. You got somewhere to train and somewhere eventually to sort of play. How did you, because there wasn't many teams playing then, was there?
Yeah, and you know what? That's a missing link. I don't know how. I used to correspond with Dave Clayton a lot, but how I got his name...
And he was the secretary at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah. I have no idea how I came across his name. I've obviously got it from somewhere, but I can't honestly remember. That's why I'd be lovely he could tell us the link. But he was the guy who used to correspond with all the time about the fixtures, and him and Rod.
I think he must have heard about us once, down in Lancashire. That's his only thing. He must have heard about a team being started up because we was the only one in this area, weren't we? And then we went across. It was Dudley Hill and Guiseley and Keighley. Was it Keighley?
Probably a bit later, Keighley.
Keighley was a bit later,
yeah.
And Wakefield, they was
eventually.
Yeah.
Because in the first league, I've found a fixture list. I think I told you, and there's you on it along with Keighley, Guiseley, and Dudley Hill. But I don't know how many fixtures Keighley actually did in that particular year. It's 1986-87.
Yeah.
I can remember playing Keighley.
That's right. I can.
At Cougar Park.
Yeah.
Actually, at Cougar Park.
Yeah, they had a big
Ange, her name was
Ange. She was number 8. She was blonde.
She
was another big Ange.
Yeah.
Big Ange next to me. And that's how I remember her.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, it's so exciting, isn't it? That at the time, and you don't think, you just get on with it, don't you?
Yeah. Well, we said that we loved it. We wanted to play, and we'd look back now. You don't realise what you've done. Looking back at the time, we just wanted to play, and we loved what we was doing. You don't realise it was like a stepping stone for what's happening now.
Absolutely, so important to what's happening now, and without people like you, we wouldn't have a league now because we had to start somewhere.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
It's nice. It's a good thing to say that, but then obviously you shared that there's been teams before us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't know about, and we're like, oh my God, so they're like the real pioneers, really. You know,
no, I'm not having any of that. You are the pioneers.
This is a small step.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the pioneers are anyone sort of that sort of started up in the 80s, 90s, and to be honest, early 2000s, because at that point, no one from the governing body was particularly interested, and they really had to fight for their, your place to play and be part of the sport. Without very little recognition. So you set up and you were playing fixtures. What was it like? You had to travel across the Pennines quite a lot. So what was it like with these teams? And you played the other teams quite a lot, didn't you, in the end, with it being a smaller league?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. What was it like? It was fun, I suppose, but I don't think we won many matches to start with.
At first, when you can look at them scrapbooks, I think our first game, what was it, 74-0 or something like that. It was against Guiseley, but the more we played and the more you could see us improving, and more girls would come in there and they were starting to turn up at training and that, you know what I mean? We had very few at training, didn't we, some weeks?
Yeah.
But I think, and we've got such a good relationship with Guiseley girls, Michaela and all them. It was lovely. It was just really nice. It was just nice to go over there. And one daft little thing that I do remember, and Terry, lives in Australia now, we went over, and afterwards they put like food on for you, after the game. I remember they come out with these Yorkshire puddings, and we'd never seen Yorkshire puddings that size. And when they come out that size of the plate, and we said, oh my God, we love going there then. We knew we were going to get these big, massive Yorkshire puddings with gravy in the middle and everything. And it's daft little things like that, which they took for granted, but we'd never seen anything like that then, It was
us poor Lancashire girls.
With your hot pot.
Yeah. Cheshire girls as we are now.
But no, they really made us welcome, and it was a good atmosphere, lovely to be involved in. That's what I mean. We loved it.
And it was a great community, wasn't it? There was awards nights and things, wasn't there, as you moved on?
Yeah, I remember going to Leeds. It must have been the guys' list. We went there for some awards. Might have been the year when we won the cup, possibly. The same sort of year, I think.
Yeah.
But
there was some good nights.
Great community,
yeah. It's interesting because I think whoever won the league put the awards on, from what I can tell, in the 80s.
Yeah.
Until it eventually moved to Blackpool, Morecambe, and then Blackpool, which was already interesting. So you played sort of from 85, 86 up until about 1992. But tell us a bit about what happened with the British Coal Nines.
Oh, that was all down to you there.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about it. Tell us what the British Coal Nines was and how you got yourself involved.
Well, the British Coal Nines was based at Wigan, I think at the old Wigan Central Park at the time. And it was just so many teams. I don't know how many teams, Julia. But I can remember reading about it and being a Warrington fan, and it was nines. And at the time, our league was based on nine-a-side. And I made a phone call. Again, I don't know whose name it was, to just say, can you incorporate us because we play nines? And it'd be great to have that like a bit of a half-time entertainment, really. And surprisingly, they took us up on it, which was amazing. But I think what I remember from that time was at the time I was working away in Birmingham, so I'd done a lot of this, sort of not locally. And I actually travelled down that day to play in the nines and travelled back that night. I'd be back at work the following day. But I think it was just a nine-a-side, and I never thought we'd get taken on. Not in that year, because we were so new. The Ladies Rugby League wasn't new.
It was 87.
87.
87.
Yeah. 87 and 88, it happened.
Yeah. That's right, because we did two kits, didn't we? That's what it was about, the kits,
So I think, and you've seen the letter that I got about the arrangements and having to have separate changing rooms, obviously, and had to be in and out with the guys' team so we could go into their rooms. So a massive big occasion, really. And again, I'd love to know how many people attended, and I think we must have got a beat, someone says, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
But just to play again, that's probably our biggest at the time achievement, I would say. Our biggest audience.
Yeah, to
definitely.
Come out in a crowd like that,
Oh, absolutely. And all the men's teams were playing nine-a-side, weren't they? So the Wigans and the Widnesses and the Hulls, and everyone was playing, weren't they? And the Warringtons. So there was a 9-a-side, and you were playing part and parcel of that because of which is absolutely phenomenal considering the Women's League had only been sort of going about a year or so. It's absolutely phenomenal, isn't it? And you and guys who did both years, I think, from what I can tell.
Yeah. And that's how we got our kits, Julia. I mean, we were struggling to have kits. I mean, it's like our old kits that we had from Warrington Wool, well, Warrington, the Wire then. But to get a kit off them as well was great because that lasted us a full season then. And the next season, I think we used the other one. You know what I mean? It was like, it was really good. Because to get kits, we was doing like car boot sales and everything, just fundraising to get money because no one was supplying us or sponsoring us or anything like that. I think the black kit, that was our first one that we got sponsored.
Big heavy black kit.
Yeah, that's right.
I know, I've just been looking at some. Yeah. If it gets wet, it drags you to the ground.
Horrible. Yeah, I know.
And shorts that that don't quite fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you did that, which was absolutely phenomenal when you actually think about it, actually playing for that. And also you were involved in Lancashire as well, weren't you?
Yeah.
So I was fortunate to captain Lancashire the very first year. And again at Old Trafford, again it was thousands and thousands of people. And I remember we got hammered. I do know we got hammered. I can remember Lisa Mack running through us a few times.
Yeah.
And they did show a clip, I think, on BBC.
Yeah, I think there was a clip
half time or something.
I've seen that on your stick, your memory stick.
Right, yeah.
I know you can see Lisa Mack running through us, but it didn't matter to me. At the end of the day, we were playing at Old Trafford.
But just to come out into that crowd, it's brilliant. Lovely feeling. Yeah.
So that was the first time, and the second time, I don't think I played. Unfortunately, I think Angie played because I'm not watching for whatever reason.
91. Yeah. But that was good. I think the crowd was like 42,000 that day. That for us was like amazing, atmosphere and everything. But that never really got recognised. Like you say, we played, and then it was like, you got a bit of things in your local papers, but like nowadays it would be more publicised, which is nice. That's what you want. You can put the telly on now. You can see the girls playing, on BBC,
great,
which is fantastic. I love it. You can do that. But in our day, you didn't get much publicity. You didn't really get much like a medal or anything, really, was there? There was nothing given to you for playing, and you got picked to play for Lancashire, so it was on. I mean, same with the Great Britain tour we did to do the trials and get picked and go out there. That never really got. I know they say they didn't really do the tackling in that game, but we did play one game, didn't we, the way we tackled. But it's a shame that it didn't get recognised, but at least it's being mentioned now, which is good. I mean, that's one good thing.
Yeah, and that's what this project's about, really. The Pioneering Years is about shining the light on, phenomenal that in 1990 and 1991 you played at Old Trafford. Actually, there was Lancashire, Yorkshire being played, and that little bit of footage of Ray French and Alex Murphy doing a bit of a commentary. They didn't know what to say. It was like, it was fabulous.
Yeah, I know.
But it was actually before its time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
The commentary, while it wasn't as it is now, they were pretty impressed with the athleticism and the players and how they were playing.
Some of them.
Yeah.
And that's just phenomenal, isn't it? That we've managed to uncover that. And then with us, the 89 tour, which I'm going to come on to because I think it's really important we do continue to shine a light. I want this really to be celebrated as part of this project because that was the start of International Rugby League.
Yeah.
And without that, we wouldn't have had what went on in the future, and that needs to be told and celebrated, really, and people need to know more about it. So before we go on to the 1989 tour, tell us a bit about being the first women in the first Challenge Cup final, because Crossfields were in it against Halifax in 1989, weren't you?
Yeah. I suppose I don't know what to say about it, really. I think for me, it was just...
We was the underdogs,
we were very much the underdogs.
And Halifax was a top side. It was a top side. You can even tell when they turned up with the coach and stuff like that. There was a top side, And there were some good players, but like you say, it's like remembering the game. It's like
I can just remember it being very muddy, very, very muddy. And we just drove ourselves in our cars as usual, because it's only at Rochdale, wasn't it? So it wasn't too far.
Rochdale, Mayfield, wasn't it?
That's it. And Halifax came across with all the trackies on and off the coach, and then we rocked up in probably whatever we rocked up in, as we do. And we were just underdogs, and I think you can never underestimate an underdog. Never underestimate an underdog. And we just went. I think we'd beaten them in this. I think we'd actually beaten them in the season. Maybe I can't remember. But again, we weren't expected to win, and I know it was a contentious try, I believe, I've heard since we started this project. And I said to Angie, I don't remember that, Angie. And she's like, yeah, because some girl overran the try line.
Yeah, I think that happened.
And one of their players wasn't happy that they'd obviously gone over the try line, gone into dead end, really. And otherwise, they probably would have beat us. Yeah. But do you know what? Swings and roundabouts.
Well, that's rugby league, isn't it?
Rugby league, you know what the rules are.
That's sport, isn't it?
Yeah, but again,
you go with the referee.
I suppose again, we were saying this morning before we were chatting this morning, you don't realise what you've done or achieved, and probably the Challenge Cup is one of it is one of the biggest things. Probably, you should say it's one of our biggest achievements. I've got lots of achievements that I'll talk about in a bit, but I suppose because that's on the local TV, wasn't it? It was never on, it was on the Granada Reports, I think it was, and it was in the papers. And I suppose really that's probably the very first inkling we've actually got. We were on Granada Reports just trained at Victoria Park.
Yeah, they come and train
up to the game.
Just train.
Well, we never had that before.
Yeah.
On the local radio, in the local Guardian, the Warrington Guardian. Ever before, really, no one's really bothered, really.
I think the next thing was at the Lancashire and the Great Britain. That did get a bit of publicity, didn't it?
But interesting about the 89 was, as I've begun to uncover more and more, it was actually Tom O'Donovan was there, who was head of development then. Yeah. So, and actually, after that point, the local development officers started promoting women and girls games in the local areas and getting more girls playing and more women playing. So, it was a phenomenal achievement to be in the first one. And while, as we sort of moved down the history, that was the first Challenge Cup. And you've got the trophy to prove it, which is based at Rugby League headquarters at the moment. And you got those great plaques.
I know.
Yeah.
Which there was no expense spared with those plaques, was there?
I know. I mean, they are nice trophies.
They're absolutely brilliant. And you got a load of publicity, and it was on television, which is phenomenal. As would be, and without us and without you keeping the stuff and telling us, we wouldn't have all that information.
Yeah, and I think we were in the Telegraph.
Yeah,
the clip I sent to you, and again, and it's not much about that, but to just be even like a broadsheet, really. It was only a few lines. It's probably never been done before.
No, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely brilliant. So, two pioneers because of loads of different things, but tell us a bit more about the 1989 tour and selection and how you got involved and a bit more about the tour, really.
We had to go down for trials, didn't we, to Leeds? Trials were done at Leeds, weren't they? It was over a week. I'm sure it was over a weekend. We had to go, and I know that's little things that stay in your mind. We found out then we got selected. They actually found out straight away. They read out the names at the end of the day. I remember we'd come back on, I think we was on a coach that day, because we'd come back and we got dropped off on Padgate Lane in Warrington. And telephones, we didn't have them. And I always remember there's a telephone box on the corner, and we all piled off the coach, run to the telephone box just to tell family that we've been picked, and that every time I used to pass that phone box, I used to think, God, there was mayhem there. It was all rushing, taking turns, fighting for the phone, and ringing someone else's family. And then we went home, then just walked home or whatever. But it's like you just wanted to tell someone straight away, I've been picked. And then where I worked, it was a sewing factory, and I worked in like the design room. But they sponsored us. They sponsored a couple of girls that worked there to go out there as well, which was good of them at the time, So that was a little bit, and newspapers got involved in a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah.
But there was, but just the tour going over there on the coach and on the ferry, because I wasn't the best on the ferry, but it was like, but yeah, I mean, just going out there was brilliant,
And this was to France, wasn't it? on this tour. So
Went
you'd got
to Toulouse.
selected, yes, and how many were selected from Crossfields then?
Six of us.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think there was head in the paper was 6 of the best, and that's the picture of us. Yeah, but a lot of them, like Rose, she gave up a lot, didn't she? She sold.
Yeah, so Rose, who was selected, she played for Crossfields, and she played also Great Britain and I think Lancashire as well.
Yeah,
she had 2 very young children at the time, and they lived on one salary, and not a great salary, and they sold their caravan to fund her to go on the tour.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And I always remember that. And my son used to have a husband, and he talks about that tour, Ronnie. When he talks about the
lovely,
tour.
lovely couple. Yeah.
So those sacrifices that they had to make, and we might got sponsored. I think I was able to get pound for pound from. I worked for a bank at the time. Well, I worked for the bank all my life, pound for pound. But a lot of people gave up a lot.
Yeah.
And you had to take holidays. You didn't get any leave. You took holidays for this.
Yeah.
So it was probably financially quite stretching.
Oh yeah.
It was only about £250 or something.
Yeah.
But you're talking of a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh wow, that's really interesting, isn't it? I'd love to talk to get all the 89ers together and talk about the stories like you've just said, because it was just a different era and different generation, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
So you went across on a very dodgy ferry, and then so what was the tour? What did it involve? Tell us a bit more about where you toured and what you did. And
we went straight to Toulouse. Toulouse was our first stop, and then we travelled on then to Perpignan. But when we got there, we was a little bit disappointed because we found out then the girls only did touch and not tackling. And we was, you gutted a bit in a way, it was like, oh no, but we enjoyed it. We played, didn't we, in Toulouse. And then I think there was something going on one night. It's either in Toulouse or Perpignan. There was a big international game because we got invited back to the town hall with the international players that was playing that day. I mean, other people might come on and say they've got more information.
I'd found out it was France v Queensland.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah.
So I thought it was New Zealand, but obviously it must have been Queensland. Same sort of accent.
Yeah. And it was really good. Yeah, it was because we had to walk through the streets, to get there, and people were cheering. So it's a lovely atmosphere, and you felt really good. And it was nice to be involved in that. And then we actually played against each other, didn't they? They split us up to play a big game at Perpignan.
And it's actually at Brutus Stadium, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the French girls did play that wanted to play tackling. They played, and we mixed it up, and we played each other, to just for a game, which was still good. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was a good game.
So what I remember about that tour is it was 6 weeks before I was getting married.
Yeah.
And John said to me, my husband now, went, don't you go breaking anything before the wedding. And I still went and played.
Yeah.
And we got
married.
Yeah. You got married without any broken bones.
Still got married, yeah. No, but it was a great experience.
Yeah,
it was disappointing. And I remember, Dave Clayton being thoroughly disappointed because all the effort he put into it. But I think we made the best of an unfortunate incident. And again, just to wear the Great Britain shirt, whatever situation you're in,
it was lovely.
You wear the Great Britain shirt, and that's all you can ask for, I guess. You're wearing the shirt.
Absolutely, it's phenomenal, isn't it? When you think about it,
yeah.
At that early doors, you went on tour, and yes, okay, so it's not a full international, but you still did it.
Yeah.
And you all had to raise the money, you all did training, you all were selected.
That's
and
right.
you played some games over there as well.
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
Which was pretty phenomenal. Absolutely brilliant. So you did the tour, you've done Old Trafford, you played on Central Park. When you start listing it all.
I know, yeah. It is
nice. Yeah. So is there anything sort of from your playing days that we've forgotten to sort of talk about that you want to? Because I want to go on to sort of where you then went and what you're doing now, really.
For the playing days.
No, I'm just looking at notes here we've made, but no, I think we've really covered most of it. I'll tell you one funny story. We played Fulham. I don't know if we played.
Were you
Fulham.
Playing then?
I don't know if he was playing
then. It
was our first game playing there, and I remember it was about to kick off. Start of the game, and Concorde flew over. Well, we'd never seen Concorde.
At Chiswick.
Even up north.
And it was like, we all just seemed to stop, look up, and we was like amazed by it. And Terry, who they used to call F off Terry, she was effing and blinding at us to, you know, get on with the game, forget that. But we all looked up, we were just fascinated with Concorde taking up, playing at Fulham. And that's what I mean, that little things that we laugh about after, you know. But
yeah, it used to come the same time every game. And I was playing because I'm in the pictures that you showed me.
You are in the pictures,
right.
When I say playing, I don't mean I was doing any good.
You were.
Oh dear. And it's just and things like that, lovely memories.
Oh yeah, we used to laugh about it after the game, you know what I mean? Fancy was all looking at Concorde, more impressed with that than kick off, you know. Yeah.
So your playing days, tell us a bit more about your involvement, how you sort of kept involved, and what sort of thing you're doing now.
It's walking rugby now. That's what we've come down to.
Yeah, I think we stopped. Well, I stopped playing, and then obviously had a family, and then I took up. Well, we both took up touch with culture.
Yeah.
So we went to culture and we played touch at culture for a few years.
And before that, I did touch with Kevin Tamity. He started a league up. So I did that for a couple of years, playing touch, which was good, like mixed teams. That was good. But like I say, we went on to culture to play there. And now it's Warrington Wolves Foundation playing walking rugby, which is great, you know, and that's getting more teams now together, isn't it?
I think for me, when I finished playing, really, I had my family, and then you know, both of them were involved in playing rugby and still are involved in rugby teams. So I was like the mum on the sideline, then screaming and telling them what to do and getting told off, shut up, mum. But again, you know, you're there when you're a mum and you've got your son's playing rugby. You are literally part of the club, aren't you? You're doing the washing. I've run the line a few times for them when they've been short of, you know, linesmen. Never referee, but I did a bit of coaching. So I did some coaching with Kevin Tamity as well. So Kevin was the development officer. He even offered me a job at one point, and I turned it down because I was working for the bank and I had to be very sensible and go where the money was. I got a mortgage. But I did a lot with Kevin, with the kids, and then obviously my boys played up to the age of 16 and 18.
So that would have been through the 90s, 2000s, was it?
90s, 2000s,
yeah. So it's just running straight through you, isn't it, rugby league?
Absolutely,
It's been in every part of your life.
Oh yeah, it still is.
I think we come back to play a charity game, didn't we, in 2000? Something against Guiseley, wasn't it? Guiseley ladies, did they come and play?
I was a mixed team because I had witness.
I think it was mixed.
So we did do a charity match.
Someone,
I think my boy, I think our Steve come watch me play that, and it was about 6 at a time.
Yeah. 2001. Yeah,
I was very slow by then. But no, we just kept in. Not that I was very fast, Julia.
Yeah.
But just kept in the game, really. Just trying to give back to it, really.
Yeah, and still really, really involved. So when you begin to look at what does being involved in rugby league in Warrington really mean to you? Start with you, Bernie.
Oh gosh, I think it's always been part. I got involved in rugby when I was 11, really, starting watching Warrington. And I think as I've matured and I've played and I've coached and watched my lads grow up, I just love the game. There's no better game than rugby league. But as part of the Warrington community, I think it's a great community. And I know Angie will probably touch on this in a bit, when we were given the Heart and Soul Award for being pioneers at Warrington. And, you know, to have our footprints awarded to us and then put in the stadium in the south stand. To me,
I think that was one of the proudest moments.
You can talk about Great Britain caps, you can talk about walking out at Old Trafford or whatever else we've done. To have my footprints in a stadium for a club that I love, there's nothing better than that. I'm getting goosey now thinking about it, but there's nothing that can surpass that.
Yeah,
nothing. For me,
I know.
So I'm still proud to be part of Warrington, and we are.
Proud,
yeah.
Like Bernie said, it's like we've watched it. I've watched it since the age of 5. I went with mum and dad and 2 brothers. We went, and my mum used to always say to me in the 1950s when she was a younger lady, she said that she loved rugby that much. She went and watched it, and she said there wasn't many women then in the 1950s watching the rugby game. You know, it was all men. And she said at first she felt a bit like, oh, you know, what people say, you know. And I think my mum loved rugby that much, and my dad. And when I started playing, and my dad was running up and down the touchline giving me the orders, and I used to think, Dad, you know, please. But it's like, yeah, and still now we're still members, we're still season ticket holders, sit together still at the stadium. And I think rugby is a big part of our lives. My wedding was revolved around Warrington Wolves. It was out of season, and the wedding cake was a rugby ball and things like that. You know, everything was, it's always been Warrington. But we're walking rugby with Mark at the foundation, and they're good, the lads. Like this morning, lovely atmosphere. They all make you welcome. And it's just nice to be part of it. But the footprints that night when we had that given to us, and they give a lovely talk about pioneering, and the young girls from this day were stood in the line clapping us, which was lovely. The girls playing rugby now to honour us, clapping us. And I thought it was such a lovely, you can never, I don't think you could, that's one of my proudest moments. I think I really love it. Just to be recognised for what we've done. Mm-hmm. And at the time, like we said, we didn't realise we loved it. We just wanted to play. And we've made many friends with it. You know, I mean, Bernie was my bridesmaid. Terry in Australia, she was a bridesmaid. They're just good friends that are always there. You know, you can pick up the phone now and speak to them. And it's like you've seen them, you know, a couple of weeks ago. They're just really good friends. I don't think you can, I think anyone that's played in a team will realise that they are true friends when you're playing in a team. Yeah.
Oh wow. And it is to get that highest honour and be recognised is just, and it's a sense of belonging, isn't it? Feeling part of that Warrington community. So in one sentence, because I've been asked to do one sentence for all of these, so I don't know who wants to start, but what does being involved in rugby league in Warrington mean to you?
For me, it means everything. It's just I'm just rugby mad, and that's all I can say. I just love being part of Warrington. You know, watching and doing the walking rugby now, but no, it's a big part of my life, rugby, and I love it.
Yeah. And you, Bernie, what does rugby league in Warrington mean to you?
It's just pinched my words. I think it's just an honour and a privilege to be part of the Warrington community, and to know that you've played a very small part in from the ladies' perspective, and even the amateurs when my sons have played, just to where we are now, and just to be recognised really that you are part of that community.
Oh, thank you.
A privilege, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's lovely to get to know you, Julia. I mean, we've said that over the last few years. It's been lovely to get to know, and we both said that the grand final that we went to watch, and you sat on the table with other ladies that are so passionate and they feel the same as you do. It's lovely just to be in their company and listen to their stories. And we've loved it. It's like, wow, how lucky are we? That's how we felt that day. It was like just lovely to be part of it.
I just love to sit and listen to their stories.
To be together.
Like,
wow. And it is, isn't it? It's just fabulous.
Oh, it is. I think so.
I think what I loved about that day, so just so people know, is I'm getting a few to the grand final and Challenge Cup where I can invite pioneers like you two, but I'm trying to do it so you're in the same era and you can hear what other people have done, and it was just such a special occasion, wasn't it?
Oh, it was lovely. Absolutely. Really nice.
It was amazing.
Loved it.
And the girls from Sheffield that we met, and it's their stories, and you're like, gosh, you know.
Yeah, it's just nice.
There's a big story to tell. There's a lot more to tell.
Oh yeah,
there is. We're just at the tip of it, aren't we? Tip of the iceberg, and we've got so much more to tell. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for all you've done from the bottom of my heart.
No, thank you.
Just keep asking us to do things, and we will.
For sharing it with us as well. You are true pioneers of Warrington, but also of Women's Rugby League. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Julia. Thank you.
Thank you.